Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Gopi Janaballabha Giridvaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishwabha Sabharajikachaya Astatara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupadam Sabhariraj Kachar Stoter Satasi Simad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Go Premanandi. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Reading from Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 13, the Advent of Lord Chaitanya, text 101 through 105. Jagat Anandamoy, Deki Mani Savismoy. Do you want to try the Bengali or I'll just read it? Jagat Anandamoy, Deki Mani Savismoy. Tare Tore Koho Haridas. Toma Aichan Ranga Mor Man Parasana Deki Kichukarye Ache Bhasa Jagat, the whole world, Anandamoy, full of pleasure. Deki, seeing. Mane, within the mind. Savismoy, with amazement. Tare Tore, by direct and indirect indications. Kohe says, Haridas Thakur, Tomar, your, Aichan, that kind of, Ranga, performance, Mora, mine, Mana, mind, Parasana, very much pleased. Deki, I can understand. Kichu, something. Karye, in work. Ache, there is. Bhasa, indication. Translation. When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Haridas Thakur, his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose in these actions. Next text. Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhar and Shivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy, and immediately they went to the bank of the Ganges to take bath in the water of the Ganges. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and gave charity by mental strength. In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated, in every city and every country, danced, performed Sankirtana, and gave charity by mental strength on the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy. All sorts of respectful Brahmana gentlemen and ladies, carrying plates filled with various gifts, came with their presentations. Seeing the newborn child, whose form resembled natural glaring gold. All of them with happiness offered their blessings. Dressing themselves as the wives of Brahmanas, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Nrsimhadeva, King Indra, and Vashishta Rishi, and Rambha, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. Purport. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a newly born baby, he was visited by the neighboring ladies, most of whom were the wives of respectful brahmanas. In the dress of brahmanas' wives, celestial ladies, like the wives of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, also came to see the newly born child. Ordinary people saw them as neighborhood, respectable brahmana ladies, but actually they were all celestial ladies dressed in that way. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The situation in Navadvip Dham, right before the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is very interesting. The opulence of Navadvip was extraordinary. Vrindavan Das Thakur points out that by the arrangement of providence, Navadvip became so opulent because it was going to be the appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the place of his pastimes. And also by the glance of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, there was such prosperity. But more than the material prosperity, more notable was the scholarship. Navadvip became a chakra, what you might call Vedic nerds, who knew everything, unfortunately, except the goal of the Vedas. All kinds of schools of logic, all kinds of astrologers, all kinds of experts in Vedic rituals. But, as the Shastra points out, very few knew what the point of the Vedas is. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaishta sarvaya aham eva Veja. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. So for the Vaishnavas, it was a very lamentable situation. Although they're in the midst of what seems to be such Vedic isms. Vrindavan Das Thakur reports that there were more professors and more students of the various Vedic departments than you could count. And everyone was so sharp in their field of expertise that even the young students would correct their professors. But for the Vaishnavas, it was a very lamentable situation. No one was chanting the holy name. No one understood bhakti as the conclusion of the Vedas. And not only that, but the more agnostic and atheistic members of the Navadvip population were criticizing the devotees. They didn't like the kirtan. They thought that the kirtan would bring ruination from the Muslims upon the Hindus. Srivas Thakur and his three brothers would always have kirtan every night. And many persons were upset. They said, he's going to bring down terror upon us. There's only one thing we can do to save ourselves. We've got to drag his house into the river. This is how upset they were. The devotees gathered in their homes for Krishna Katha sessions amidst this hostile atmosphere, even though the atmosphere was mostly Vedic. It was hostile because people knew nothing and didn't want to know anything about the goal of the Vedas. So many devotees would take shelter of Advaita Acharya, who was staunchly holding Krishna Katha sessions in his home, Kirtan, and he was the senior-most Vaishnav. Actually, Advaita Acharya was very wealthy. You can tell that by the gifts that his wife presented to Nimai upon Nimai's birth. And not only that, he's a limb of Mahavishnu. So hearing and witnessing all the persecution, the devotees went to him, and he said, I will pray for a descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know how Advaita Acharya, with Ganga water, worshiped the Lord, Tulsi Manjari, worshipped his Shalagram Shila, and called out for the descent of Lord Gauranga. But he told the devotees who were so afraid and worried, he said, if this doesn't work, if Gauranga doesn't come, I will manifest 4 arms, and with my chakra I'll kill all the atheists. Of course, Lord Chaitanya came upon the call of Advaita Acharya. And what's interesting is Advaita Acharya giving charity with mental strength. He was prosperous, being a very aristocratic Brahmana. Whereas, surprisingly, Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, the parents of Mahaprabhu, their home was sometimes described by the Shastra as being not affluent at all, except after the appearance of Mahaprabhu, people would come and give so many items, food and other wonderful gifts. But in of themselves, Sachi and Jagannath Mishra were not known to be materially wealthy, but Advaita Acharya was. And he was giving cows in mentally giving cows in charity, distributing them to the Brahmanas, celebrating the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So please keep in mind that even before Lord Chaitanya appeared, right before that, he already instigated everyone to chant Hare Krishna. But many people were thinking, it's a lunar eclipse. The tradition is we should wade into the Ganga and chant Hare Krishna. Whereas Advaita Acharya knew what's going on. This is Mahaprabhu causing the flood of love of Krishna through the chanting of the holy names, even before he manifests. So this is going on just before the birth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then you're hearing that Acharya Ratna, Chandrasekhar, and Srivas Thakur, they also did the same. They went down to the Ganga, took bath, and chanted Hare Krishna and gave charity by mental strength. Not only them, but all the devotees gave charity by mental strength. So what is this giving charity by mental strength? How can we understand that? Especially in Navadvip at that time, where Vrindavan Das Thakur says the only time these Vedic nerds would chant the holy name is when they took bath in the Ganga. They would say one time, Govinda. That was it. Pundarikaksha. That's it. That's the only kind of chanting that was going on in Navadvip. So amidst all that, you have these extraordinary Vaishnavas distributing cows in charity by mental strength. So this may remind you of what Vasudeva did upon the birth of Lord Krishna. He's in the prison of Kamsa. And what gifts can he give? What brahmanas can he contact for gift giving? But Vasudeva gave thousands of cows in charity by mental strength, showing that no material impediment can stop bhakti. You'll see this truth more in the Lila of Nrsingananda. This is later in Mahaprabhu's appearance. But I do want to talk about the infant Nimai, right after his so-called birth. He also caused the chanting of Hare Krishna, instigated it because he wouldn't stop crying until the ladies surrounding him would chant Hare Krishna. In fact, as he grew up just a little, still a child, he would see a bird in the sky and cry out, "I want it, I want it, I want." Or he would see the sun or the moon, "Give it to me, I want it, I want it, I want it." And he would even thrash about on the ground, throwing a temper tantrum, until everyone started chanting Hare Krishna. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that by his doing this, throwing these temper tantrums and making unreasonable requests, "Give me the moon, give me the sun, give me that bird flying by," Mahaprabhu is showing the impossibility of fulfilling material desires. And that the only way to pacify, the only way to deal with material desires is by chanting Hare Krishna. So he wouldn't stop his temper tantrum and his crying, requesting the moon, the sun, the bird flying in the air, until everyone started chanting Hare Krishna. Another time there was a snake in the backyard, and little Nimai crawled and sat on the snake, which had coiled up into a seat. Because Nimai knew this is Ananta Shesh. Well, what do you think the elders were, what was their reaction? They were horrified. "Oh no, Nimai is sitting on top of a snake." They called out, "Garuda, Garuda," because they're chanting Garuda's name, because Garuda is the enemy of the snakes. And then finally, Nimai got off the coiled snake, and the snake slithered away, but Nimai was crawling after the snake, and the elder stopped him, of course. Another time, as an infant, just a few months old this time, no one was around, and little Nimai would throw foodstuffs all over the floor, wheat, rice, whatever, dal, and then he would take milk and other liquids, ghee, and just spread it on the floor too, making a complete mess. This is when no one's watching. He's kind of duplicating the pastimes of baby Krishna, Bal Gopal. So people would then later come into the room and say, and Nimai would know they're coming, especially my mother is coming. So then he would lay down on the floor and cry. And so first Sachi Devi would naturally want to take care of her crying child. And then she looked on the floor and saw all this mess. And she thought, how does this happen? How did all these foodstuffs and liquids spread all over the floor? And she couldn't put 1 + 1 = 2 together. She didn't realize this is Nimai because he's too little to do all that mischief. So people would consult with Sachi Devi. we need to chant some mantras. It could be ghosts in the house. No one suspected that little Nimai could do this. So as we'll go later in his pastimes, because we want to talk about the giving with mental strength. How does that have any impact? To understand how Krishna can accept offerings from the mind, you have to know a little bit about how Krishna is bhavagrahi. He accepts the attitude, the eagerness to serve him. Whether you're serving him with your mind or with your senses, your physical senses. Of course, these are the dealings of advanced devotees. So we've explained about Vasudeva giving cows with mental strength, Advaita Acharya doing it, Srivas and Acharya Ratna doing it, and the devotees in general. Mahaprabhu is now on his way to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. This is later, the second half of his appearance in this world after taking sannyas, after his 24th year. So he's now in Kulia. Kulia is present-day Navadvip. What we call Navadvip across the river from Mayapur. In Caitanya Caritamrita, that's considered Kulia. And it was the site of many offenders coming to Mahaprabhu and begging forgiveness. We can picture ourselves in that crowd of thousands of people who hadn't understood who is Mahaprabhu. And now they're begging forgiveness for thinking he was an ordinary person. Thousands upon thousands. So then, from Kulia, Lord Chaitanya proceeded to Ramakeli, which at the time was considered an exquisite village, Ramakeli Gram. And that's where Rupa and Sanatan happened to be headquartered. So on the way from Kulia to Ramakeli, so many people followed Lord Chaitanya, and every time Mahaprabhu would take a step, people came after him and would dig up the ground to get the dirt that he had just walked on. People still imitate these things these days for the most mundane purposes. Should I wait? Do you need a battery? We shall return. So we were speaking about people digging up the ground. You can imagine thousands upon thousands just digging up the ground, making holes everywhere. I remember as a kid, this happened at what the Americans call the World Series baseball championship. Only the U.S. and Japan play baseball, but the Americans call it the World Series. So my team, my favorite team as a little kid, was perpetually in what they called the cellar, in the basement, last place. And then one year they rose up all the way to the top and won the championship, the World Series. So when the final out came, the end of the match, there were 50,000 people in the stadium. They all rushed to the field to scoop up dirt because it was such a historic moment. I've got to have some dirt to show my children and grandchildren I was there. This is the dirt from 50,000 people stormed the grounds and made hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. So I'm telling you this so you understand that why people would want to dig up the ground that Mahaprabhu walked on. If they do it for such an insignificant thing as a baseball team. Of course, ever since that happened at this baseball stadium, as soon as the home team wins, the police come out on horses, like 100 policemen on horses, and they prevent the crowd from ripping up the field. Anyway, so Mahaprabhu is on his way to Ramakeli. And then he's supposed to go to Vrindavan. So this devotee, Nrsimhananda, he decides, let me create a road in my mind for Mahaprabhu to walk on from Kulia to Vrindavan. I'll do it by mental strength. That'll be my offering. So he visualizes a broad road covered by jewels, and then the next layer on the road would be stemless flowers, and then alongside the road on both sides would be bakul flower trees, and then at intervals on each side of the road would be lakes of nectarian water with bathing houses made of jewels and birds making sweet sounds, and the lakes would be full of lotus flowers, and the breezes would blow the fragrance of the lotus flowers all over the road. He's doing this as an offering to Mahaprabhu in his mind. But he can't get the road in his mind past Kanai Natashala. Past that town, the road wouldn't go in his mind. He thought about it. What is this? What's going on? And then it came to him. Mahaprabhu will not make it all the way to Vrindavan on this trip. And he confidently told the devotees, you'll see. You'll see. He's not going to be able to go all the way. And of course, we all know Mahaprabhu turned back after Ramkeli, after meeting Rupa and Sanatan. So what does this demonstrate by Nrsimhananda? It demonstrates that Krishna accepts the attitude of the bhakti, whether it's in the mind or in the physical matter. The mind is subtle matter, and then the body is physical matter. Both are Krishna's energies. If the devotee can offer with appropriate devotion, appropriate bhakti, Krishna accepts whether the service is done in the mind or with the body. Both are his energies. Krishna is looking for the attitude, because the main ingredient in devotional service is bhakti. We should always remember that in terms of our offering of food to Krishna. He says, give me leaf, fruit, flower, water, I'll accept if there's bhakti. I remember Prabhupada telling us in Los Angeles that if those cooking for the deities or offering food to the deities, if they don't chant their 16 rounds, Krishna does not accept the offering. So Krishna is not obligated to just accept everything that we thrust at him. Even in some parts of the material world, there's this concept of food with embedded intentions. You'll find it today, especially in California. If you know anything about the USA, California is known for being super new agey. So there, people have popularized the concept of food with embedded intentions. At the chocolate factory or at this food processing plant, they have persons who aim their mental vibes at the food as it's being processed. Positive thoughts, positive thinking. Let there be love throughout the world. May everyone be happy. and then this food is advertised as special mineral water with embedded intentions. That's the lingo. Well, we want our prasad to be prepared with embedded bhakti. And according to the quality of the cook, the quality of the consciousness of the offerer, of the food, according to the consciousness also of those who serve the food, that determines how potent the prasad is. So we shouldn't take prasad in such an automatic, mechanical way. There's complete room for the investing of bhakti in purity. I remember years ago, His Holiness Ramai Swami, is he here? He would always talk about conquest through prasad. And I was thinking, what is that? How could that be? And so I've seen how here at New Govardhan, the prasad distribution has just ramped up in this Gold Coast area. I was flying on a plane from Bangkok to Sydney, and there was a businessman sitting next to me, and he was quiet the whole trip, didn't acknowledge me, didn't say a word, didn't look my direction. And then suddenly, in mid-flight, he turns to me and says, "What do you guys put in your food?" So I'm from the Gold Coast, and I eat at your restaurants. What do you put in it? So then I started thinking, what's going on here? How can there be a conquest through prasad? Then last night I got a call from Wellington in New Zealand, and the devotees there had started their massive prasad distribution by doing it on the university campus. The students had demanded, we want more than just a bhakti club which shows up a couple of times a week and serves about 60 people. We want more than that. Why are we forced to just get food from the multinationals like Subway who are in the food court when the Hare Krishnas give such nutritious and cheap food? So they made a fuss with the university staff. And even some of the university staff, they were used to coming to the Bhakti Club and getting prasad, and they also made a fuss that, yes, we're with the students. We want Krishna food. Still the university wouldn't get into it. And then one of our big donors, the one who gave retreat property, he was well known in Wellington as very affluent and someone who likes to throw his weight around. So he went and talked to the university staff. If you don't give the devotees a chance to serve Krishna food on the campus, I'm going to the media. We'll reconsider. He had that kind of influence. When we were having trouble with the council for building plans, he's notorious in the region. He's the big donor. He went to the council and demanded. The secretary stopped him from seeing the council persons in charge. The secretary said, "No, you can't see the head person right now. Either you let me see him now, or I want your job. I'll take your job." And she started trembling and crying because everyone knows this guy. He doesn't play around. He went and saw the council people and said, "Look, you're going to make a problem for these devotees? I'll take you to court. I've got time, I've got money, and I'm motivated." Yes. What do they want? What do they want? So anyway, the devotees got on the campus of University of Victoria food court and been serving prasad there, hundreds of plates every day, that Monday through Friday mainly. And after some years of that, it just so happened a couple of weeks ago, the main high school in Wellington, 1,700 students and 160 staff, they sent a delegation to the devotees at the Bhakti Lounge and said, our students are demanding quality vegan food, and we've heard that you excel in this. We've got a list of 10 possible caterers that we want to investigate. So let us come to your place on campus, Krishna Food in the food court on campus. We'll check it out, and then we'll go down the list with the others. So they came to Krishna Food on the campus and had lunch. And then he said, okay, we'll be back, we'll get back to you, we got to check out the others. We'll be back to you in a week. We've got to give everyone a chance. 2 hours later, they call up, we're not going anywhere else. You've got the contract. Exclusive caterers for food at the high school. No one else. And we'll put $30,000 into fixing up our kitchen, and you've got it all. So pray that the devotees can take proper advantage of this. So then I started thinking last night, well, I guess the senior Australian Swami knew something. Conquest, even in a high school, exclusive caterers on the university campus. The main ingredient is the bhakti. So what makes the prasad super sensational? Whether vegan or vegetarian, I don't get into that. I just see what's the preaching situation. The important thing is the quality of the devotee's consciousness. And that's why you're reading in Caitanya Caritamrita about this charity giving with mental strength. Their minds were that strong back then. I don't know these days if our minds are that strong that we could offer mental service like that. But it is possible, as Nrsimhananda Brahmachari demonstrated, and the service was accepted because of his unmotivated, pure devotional attitude. So Prabhupada explains that that kind of service can go on in any circumstance, overcoming all hindrances, overcoming all obstacles. All right, any questions? Yes.
It says, verse 103, in this way all the devotees, wherever they were situated, every city and every country, danced, performed, sankirtan, gave charity by mental strength. Is that some sort of like a prediction going on there, or is
every country, often in Caitanya Caritamrita, it's not international as we think, it's referring to various parts of India. Just like even today, like if you're at Govardhan, it's happened to me. I've seen it happen. And the residents, the devotee, the foreign residents who live in Govardhan tell me it happens all the time. People come up to you and ask, what country are you from? But they're not referring to international, they're referring to what part of India are you from? Like South India is considered another country. So keep that in mind. Still, the appearance of Mahaprabhu was an international event. Excuse me, a cosmic event. You're reading about the demigods appearing. Vrindavan Das Thakur describes how to see baby Nimai, the demigods would crowd around, invisible, except you would just see a shadow on the wall. And so the people, the humans didn't know what was going on. They thought, what is this, a shadow on the wall? Is this some thief hiding somewhere? Maybe they thought it was a disembodied spirit or something like that. So they started chanting the Shringa mantras, and the invisible demigods were laughing because the people thought maybe there's some spooks or some subtle thieves going on, and so we got to chant Lord Nrsimha. So they did that, and of course the demigods loved to hear that, and they were just invisibly laughing. And you've heard about how the wives of the demigods would come and people were thinking, especially the ladies. This particular group of ladies look so exquisitely dressed, and I wonder where they're from, but they couldn't put 1 + 1 = 2 together. They're just wondering, beautiful ladies, look at the saris, wow. Because these ladies were from the heavenly planets. So in this way, Mahaprabhu made the Sankirtan mission cover Earth and then gradually all the universe, just by his appearing in Navadvip. So Caitanya Caritamrita explains like that. He set the Sankirtan movement in motion in Navadvip, and from there it covered the Earth, and from there it covers the whole universe gradually. So this is the scope of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. Anything else? Yes.
I just have a question regarding prasadam.
Prasadam, yeah.
My understanding is, like you say, like the bhakti and the consciousness of the cook is, and the serve also you mentioned, is very important in producing a potent prasadam. So how is it like? Sometimes we hear when people use products that are not necessarily from the farm or from town, but then they're used by a cook who's using them with a intention of love and bhakti. Sometimes we hear people say that like Krishna won't accept it because of the milk is from a dairy or something in town. Whereas if the devotee is cooking with that love, with that intention, and then it's offered with intention, how is it not transformed? That's fine. Sorry for transform.
If you have adequate opportunity for milk from your cows here, why not take it? But maybe you all can't produce that much milk here as is common. So then you got to do the necessary. But first priority is the milk you produce here. But generally there's just enough for the deities, I've heard, and a little bit left over. Huh? There's plenty. Wow. Well, that should be your first port of call. No doubt about it. You're blessed if you got, after you give milk to the deities and their preparations, and you have left over, you're living in opulence. Who would not take that? That's all I can say. Anything else? They're fired up for prasad there. But this prasad point is so important. I could not have imagined. In Wellington, over the years, I've gotten the devotees like 60 cookbooks of all kinds of international cuisine, a huge library there. I never knew it was going to turn out like this. But the main ingredient is bhakti. That's what makes the taste so sensational.
You mentioned about how Prabhupada said that if the cook or the person offering is not chanting 16 rounds, then Krishna won't accept the offering.
Yes, he told us that in Los Angeles.
So when the kirtan, like Advaita Acharya, he called for Lord Chaitanya to come, or Krishna to descend as Lord Chaitanya. So when we have kirtan in the temple room, then the intention counts of the person, but also if the potency comes from the practice. So if someone comes just on festival days just to do kirtan, and then they're not having a regular program of sadhana and practice, then, but their intention is to please Krishna when it comes to appearance days, then what is the potency?
Different temples have different standards. It's up to the temple president to decide. In some temples they say, unless you're fully practicing sadhana. You can't lead kirtan, you can't give class. Others make exceptions for children of devotees, so it's up to the local management. The principle, however, is there that according to the quality of the consciousness, that affects the chanting, the prasad, affects everything. So therefore we are the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.